What is actually happening in Iran? I mean, are we actually winning this war? And is it time that we confirm the rumor that our allies really are just our vassal states? And the scoop on Cuba might be more smooth, like a gelato, like a smooth gelato, and not quite as rough as that off-brand ice cream that you've had sitting in the back of your freezer that really is more like flavored water rather than anything with real cream in it. What do I mean? Well, let's get into it and I'll explain. Welcome to the Ripple Effect. So for the first thing is, what is actually happening in Iran, and are we winning or are we not? Everyone keeps saying there's like this fight, even amongst the conservatives or pseudo-conservatives, that very soon, as everyone's talking about the podcast wars, will eventually become part of the left. But they are saying that we're not winning, that we are sacrificing our people and that we're suffering major losses and that we'll never be able to, open the Strait of Hormuz or whatever else. And we can assess this pretty clearly by several things. There's statistics going out there right now of how much the Iran is actually throwing back at us versus how much they were throwing back at us at the very beginning of the war. And there's also the situation that we could talk about that Al Jazeera, which is out of Qatar, came out with almost a raving review of how America is handling this war and how America is crushing Iran. And let's just put it this way. No one in Al Jazeera really cares about America or really likes America. So it makes you wonder just how crushing is our victory if even they are announcing just how wonderful we are at winning. And even though people protest and say that, not like protest, but like argue and say that we don't need our aircraft carriers anymore. There are aircraft carrier deniers out there, my father being one of them. Yeah, that's right, called you out. And we can see the effectiveness of them. And one of the things that's been prominent in an example of why they're so incredibly useful is because of drones. And I know it sounds funny. You say, well, there's one big target, but the capability of being able to launch drones off of other vessels in coordination with our fighters and so on, and be able to use them together, especially in the fighting that we're seeing right now, is amazing. In fact, we're finding out just how much drone warfare is being used by even places like Israel. Israel's using a lot of drones to take out a lot of the Iranian checkpoints in town. So what we're seeing is a very tactical takedown of Iran's infrastructure when it comes to military, the IRGC. And even Trump has already been hinting now that it's getting very close to the time when it will be safe for the Iranians to come out of their homes and protest in the streets. And if we really want the country to be taken back over, we have to assure the Iranians that they will be safe when they leave their homes to protest. And if we can provide that, it is over. It is completely over. And we've seen that there's a threshold with the Iranians on how much personal injury they're willing to suffer for the sake of their freedom. And I mean, wouldn't we all? And it looks like now, with Karg Island probably going to be taken by the Marine Expeditionary Force that got dispatched, it doesn't seem like the Khomeini group will be able to hold on. The mullahs will be able to hold on much longer when they don't have any money to support them. And along with the rumors that I'm not even getting to the fact that the current supreme leader is gay, which is the story that's going on right now. I'm not even interested in that, as much as apparently he might actually be dead. There's a lot of confirmation that he's dead. And over the weekend, or overnight, I guess last night, Israel took out the 3 more of the top leaders that thought they were safe in airstrikes. And it is getting to the point now where there is not going to be anyone capable of bringing together anything coherent in Iran. Now, here's what I was saying about this. And I said, is it time that we confirmed that our allies are not our allies anymore? And what do I mean by that? And I saw a video from Ben Shapiro today, and this point was really good that he made. He spells out what an ally really is and how there's a cost to being an ally. There's a moral cost to being an ally. If you're going to be an ally with someone, you have to at least agree with them to some degree morally. And we see that spread already happening. They have to be willing to come to your aid, and there has to be a willingness to support you, even if they don't necessarily agree with 100% with what you're doing. The problem is all these people that are saying this isn't their war and they don't want to contribute at all, and please don't get us involved, including places like Japan, need to start learning that either you come as our allies or you're just a vassal state. Because either you can come to us as a peer, or you're just someone we protect. You're like the pathetic little kid that we're guarding. You have a choice to come with us, equals. And when we ask for your aid and help as an ally, you should be responding. You have a choice to choose to be an ally or to be a vassal state. And part of this too is, and this is kind of funny, I actually wanted to mention this, but it was totally on a different point, but I wanted to mention this. America has completed the single greatest feat ever accomplished by America. And that is this. Over the weekend on Sunday, America won the Paralympic hockey match against, guess who? Canada. So we swept the Olympics. It's the first time a nation sweeping the Olympics when it comes to gold in the hockey. We won the men's, the women's, and the Paralympics. And you know what drives it so much more home to our evil top hat that is basically another vassal state of ours, is this. They had the World Championship baseball. The Canadians thought they were going to win so badly, or so much thought they were going to win, that they wore their nation's hockey team's jerseys out for the practice as like we're going to get him back for you. And then we rubbed it in their faces. And a lot of people are discovering this around the world right now, that we can rub it in their face. Iran's learning this. Venezuela learned this and is now doing our bidding. And Cuba now this is my third point that I wanted to get into, is what did I mean by describing it as gelato versus, that crusty ice cream that just like crunches in your mouth. It's just terrible. The takeover of Cuba may actually be extremely smooth. Maybe extremely smooth. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there is so much coming out right now about Cuba. The president of Cuba came out and was basically openly stating to his party that they are in talks with America, which is unheard of. They would never, ever do this. Never, ever. They are the great, this is like the greatest evil is to talk to us. And they are not only agreeing that they are in talk, or admitting that they're in talks with us, but he also said that there was an encounter last year of a situation with boats and the Coast Guard of Cuba, and they are allowing the FBI in to help with the investigation. If you don't realize how big of a deal that is, you have not been paying attention to Cuban politics. They're allowing the FBI in to their country to investigate this encounter. I'll take it a step further. One of the headquarters of the Communist Party was looted. The stuff burnt on the street. And only one person was shot by a police officer who happened to be on the site in the thigh. And 5 people were arrested. Compared to over 1,000 people that are still in jail from riots in 2024, protests in 2024 in Cuba. It seems like no one's wanting to do anything that will face the wrath of America when America takes over. And also, there's a conversation happening on right now between Raul Castro, his grandson, and Marco Rubio's team. So it sounds like the Castros, the one last Castro that is in power behind the scenes, he's like the army general, is negotiating behind the scenes to get what they want from America, or like a good settlement, basically to retire. I'm calling it, we'll probably be seeing within a month or two here, if not sooner, the very peaceful transition of Cuba from a communistic state and country to a very, very democratic one. And what's interesting is there's actually a great video on this if you want to go see a great video of someone who broke it down really well. And that's Chris Chappell on America Uncovered. He did a great video on it. If I had the time, I would link it in my bio, my description, but you can look it up. It was really, really good on how he compares it to the German Berlin Wall coming down and how peaceful that was, because everyone was afraid to shoot on the protesters because they knew there was no backing behind their government anymore, and they were afraid of losing everything. So there seems to be like this is going to be a pretty soon thing happening, and we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But what I want to say is this. My final thought today is this. I want to go back to the vassal state and say one thing. When America asks for help, and places like Japan, who we protect from China, and South Korea, who we protect from North Korea and China are ignoring it basically and saying we don't want to get involved. You don't get a chance or a choice to be involved or not when it comes to this kind of thing. If we wanted to, places like Japan and South Korea, if we withdrew our troops, North Korea would have South Korea like that. I want you to think about that next time we call for your help. Oh, and Japan, China's already has already openly talked about beheading your president. If we were to withdraw our troops from there too, and tell China that we wouldn't stop them from invading. How about Europe and Spain refusing to let us even use the air bases that we have in Spain? And Germany and all these other countries that supposedly are our allies there. When you do nothing for us and we have to provide everything for you, like you are some invalid who's a paralyzed invalid who can't take care of themselves, it shows that you are a vassal state. And for all those Canadians who couldn't help themselves and were freaking out over the losses to us in hockey, remember, when your guys' countries don't help out and hold up your promises, which you have as allies, remember who protects you and remember what your position in this world is. And if you want to mouth off, be there for us when we need you. Because if you're not there when we need you, soon someone will come for us, and then they'll come for you. Well, that's the stuff to right now. There's a lot going on, and we'll hit it more tomorrow. I've been really busy. I was in Palm Springs, so it's been crazy, but I managed to sneak one out today. So thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.